Coach, you a few weeks away from opening tip-off. What's the mood like with the team?
Uh, it's pretty good mood actually. We have a long way to go. We have a lot of a lot of new players, a new system, lots of new terminology. So it's kind of a grind most days because we're in long hours right now. We're trying to get the most out of our 4-hour days, and they're trying to learn how to not only learn the philosophy, the system, but also just how to push yourself kind of past what you think you're capable of doing. So it's a little bit of a grind, but they're excited, I think, to learn what they're learning. I think they're excited about the potential of this team.
Do you have like a culture you want to establish within the program? What are the key points of that you try to
Yeah,
teach?
I mean, we talked a lot about what we wanted this program to look like, not only just this year. I mean, this year's team is really the team that needs to set the culture, set the expectations for all the teams that come following them. So we talked a lot about just what we thought our circle of culture needed to look like. I mean, you start with communication, and we have about 8 key words, and to be honest with you, we started installing this sort of about I think we're on week 7 right now. So we picked our words that we thought would resonate with the change of the program and changing culture. So we work on that weekly. We have a term that we use every week. It changes, and we stay on that for a solid week, just talking every day. This week is discipline, and just different aspects of what it takes to be a successful program.
It sounds a lot like what Coach Traylor does. Did you guys talk about this at all, or was it something you coordinated?
I think each coach has their own philosophy, and to be honest with you, I let them set this. I thought it was really important that they tell me what they thought would create a positive culture, a positive environment, and a successful one. So they came up with maybe about 20 words that they thought were important, and then we all sort of collectively voted on what we thought the top 8 would be. Different words. There were a few that got down to the nitty-gritty with what would be the last ones. But believe it or not, communication was number 1. Love is one of them. I mean, I think they have to learn to love the game and also love each other, to play for each other. So there was just a lot of talk about it, and they said it, and they've got to live by it.
How about the on-court component? Anything you can tell us about the philosophy that way, or the style of play, or just what it'll look like?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to play up tempo. We're trying to learn to play at a faster pace. Pace of play is a big topic of discussion in college athletics and basketball in general. So we're trying to play at a quicker pace, get the ball down the floor a little bit quicker, have a little bit more time to play in the half court. And then our defensively, we're trying to play a little more at tempo. And I will tell you, it's rather ugly right now because we are trying to play at a different tempo. So there's a lot of turnovers and a lot of fouls. But, I mean, to me, that may not iron out until January or February.
How about building a roster, finding transfers who fit what you want to do? What's that process been like since you got here?
Unique, to say the least. I mean, I'm not sure I've ever had a program that did not have a freshman. But there was not an incoming class of freshmen. So when we took the job, the numbers were down. I mean, some kids transferred before we were hired, and some graduated. So it was really our job to try to fill in roster-wise and bring a couple of players in here that could help us immediately, in particular at the point guard position, and then give us just some more live bodies to play with. And we were able to go, in all realms. I mean, we got a couple of grad transfers, we got a 4-year transfer, and then we got some junior college transfers, and they've all added different dimensions. But to be honest with you, very few are experienced at this level. So that's really our biggest issue right now, is there's very few players that have played at the Division I level, very many minutes of that.
Who from that group could you see getting a lot of playing time right away?
JP obviously is going to be our starting point guard. I mean, she's an established point guard that didn't play significant minutes and starting minutes at the Division I level at Lamar. So, she's definitely established herself. She's got a lot to learn because she's learning a new system, so it's hard for her. But she is definitely established at that position. There's Laprasia Johnson is another one that came from Nevada that's played significant minutes at the Division I level. And and that, I mean, really from there you start to talk about a lot of players that are new, not only to our system, but new to Division I basketball. So, it may be every game may look different because we may just have to base it on, who looks good this week in practice and who looks like they're catching on to the scout that week and all. It's going to be a little bit of a mix mash, I think, for a while. But as we go along, I think some people will move to the front.
How's Elisa physically right now?
Say it again.
Elisa Coleman. How is she coming along?
She's actually our only, what I guess you would call a true freshman eligibility-wise, because
Right.
she sat out last year.
Redshirt freshman?
Yeah, because she was injured. She tore ACL last year at Texas. Did not. I mean, I think it was the first practice of the year. So literally, she's a freshman. She's the only one.
But her rehab and getting back.
Rehab's been great. I mean, her knee is good. They did a great job of rehabbing her. It's just she's new to the game. I mean, the pace of the game is obviously very different for her. Physicality is very different, and then her just needing to be sure of herself, and then on top of that, learning a new system along with the rest of them. So I think it's going to be a while for Alyssa. I don't have unrealistic expectations of her, just because, again, she is what I guess you would call a true freshman.
What about from a big picture point of view?
Yeah.
Like, what's it going to take to turn this program into a winner?
Well, I think we need to put a better product on the floor for sure. I mean, that's the first thing that we need to do as a current basketball team, is just put a product on the floor that when people come and watch us, including recruits, do you see a team that looks like they're enjoying themselves, that's competitive, that plays hard? You have to start there. What does that look like when someone walks in and looks at our team? Do they look like a team that has a vibe about them, that they look like they're enjoying themselves and they're enjoying the competition? So you start there. Then you have to start to perform better. I mean, as far as execute things. You have to score baskets, obviously, and you have to defend better, and you get into the X's and O part of that after you establish the culture as far as playing hard. And then you go into recruiting. I mean, it's the lifeblood of every program, and we're trying really, really hard to make sure that we continue to bring players in here that can elevate. But I don't want to talk that much about recruiting, because really we have some players that I think we can build with, but then we have to plug that roster in with some players that can help them.
How do you go about building a connection to San Antonio, whether it's having fans come in or building those recruiting connections like you talked about? What goes into that?
Yeah, I think it starts with high schools. I would echo everything Coach Traylor says on a daily basis about how important the high school relationships are. Everybody wants to talk about the portal, but I mean, we need to develop high school relationships for two reasons: recruiting and fan base. I mean, you want them to support your team, your San Antonio's team. That starts with recruiting some players from San Antonio, but also, go to the games, go watch them practice, even if you're not recruiting someone from that school. Make sure you invite the middle schools to your games and start some relationships. Do a free clinic like we did. I mean, we did some things that we're hoping to build relationships with the high school, so that they'll support us, knowing that we're supporting them also. I'm a big proponent of high schools, high school coaches, relationships with those, and that goes back to my days too, as being a high school coach. I think it's extremely important. But again, you talk about word of mouth. I mean, I think if people start to say, hey, they're playing hard. That team's actually really getting after it. Someone will come watch that, and then they'll tell someone else, and then before you know it, we've got a fan base that enjoys watching women's basketball.
Karen, did you play in this building when you were at Arkansas Little Rock?
No, not that you're talking about when I played?
Yeah.
I do not.
Like in the late 80s?
No,
Because, they were in the same. I know the men's.
I'm way older than that.
No, late 80s?
Yeah. Yeah, I do not remember playing here, but I've aged a lot since then. I might have forgotten that.
See, that used to be the men's. The men's teams had a great rivalry back there. Little Rock against UTSA.
Yeah, Mike Newell was the men's coach when I played there.
That was a huge rivalry.
But
I didn't know if the women.
I do not remember ever playing here.
Okay.
I've only played here one time. When I was my first or second year at Texas, we scrimmaged down here. So we did a close scrimmage down here. That's the only time I think I've been in the building.
Karen, I know you watch football. What's your take on what Jeff's doing?
I love football, by the way. I love football, and I love what he's doing. I mean, it's a storybook right now. I mean, there's no question that he has a contagious effect not only on the city of San Antonio, but he's had a contagious effect on our coaches in the athletic department, the other teams in the athletic department. You don't meet someone like Jeff Traylor that wants him in Blue Moon, and I really mean that. I've been in a lot of different institutions, been around a lot of different football coaches, a lot of different coaches in every atmosphere, and he's one of a kind. There's no question about it. He has a remarkable effect on not only his players, but the people that surround him.
Karen, how have the returning players here sort of responded to having a lot of fresh competition for playing time and a whole new approach to kind of learn?
They've been unbelievable. I can't say enough about the players. I really can't. I mean, we're not going to be perfect. And like I said, it's going to look really, really ugly for a while. And it's just they're learning. They're learning the system. They're learning new ways of doing things. They're learning how to compete at a different level, I think, than what they have. And that I'm not saying anything negative. I mean, there was a COVID atmosphere last year. I mean, there was a lot going on. But I'm asking them to do some things and play a little bit harder than I think they've done in the past, mainly because of COVID last year and maybe, some just now being new to the game. Can't say enough about from day one that I walked in here, just their open-mindedness. They're sponges. They're trying to do everything we ask them to do. I've had zero off-court issues. They do great in the classroom. They go to class. They take care of their business. They're on time, and they do the best they can. And there's a lot said for that. I mean, if you continue to do that and they learn that the rewards might not come immediately. The rewards for this team might not come. They might not come, period. They might not come till some of them are gone. But they're setting the standard here by the way that they're carrying their business, carrying on their business. And I think that's all a coach can ask for from players is just to do, try to do your best and do what's right. And they're learning what's right now, and I'm enjoying watching it.
With that in mind, what qualifies as a successful season for this group?
I don't have a number of wins necessarily. I mean, obviously, I think everybody judges what we do in this business on wins and losses. But in my eyes, if there's improvement, I mean, for example, like right now today, we turn the ball over too much. We have to get to a point where we value possessions better. And if we can do that, to me, that's a win. I was telling them on Saturday, I read an article about Brenda Freeze, who's at Maryland. She's on her 20th year at Maryland. She's obviously won national championships, has one of the best teams in the country right now. And she said her first year there, they just tried to win quarters. And we're in that place right now where we have to try to win the day, as Coach Traylor would say. Like, you have to try to win the day, and for us, it's to try to win the first half of practice, and then let's go to the second half of practice. And when we play a game, we're going to try to win the first quarter, and then we'll get to the second quarter, and we'll see what happens. And I think that if they can learn to take that approach, then good things will happen for them.
You've got a veteran staff out there. I mean, just
yeah.
The cachet of your assistant coaches. How much does that help to have? Jamie has done what she did in the Final Four, and just your staff as a whole, and what do they bring to this program?
Yeah, this is a real high-level staff. I mean, really high level. I mean, they have been around the block a few times, like you said. They've been with me. I mean, Empress played for me, Jamie coached for me, and played with me at Texas when I was an assistant. And Coach Miles has just stepped in like he knew me for years. They're high level because of the way they approach every day. I mean, not only are they good basketball coaches and have high IQ as far as how to teach, and I think there is a difference in teaching and coaching. They know how to teach the game, but they're also invested. I mean, they're completely invested in UTSA. They're completely invested in our players getting better every day as people, and then as basketball players. So I think it's a very unique situation to have a new staff where we are today at this high of a level, and as committed as they are to being here and making this program grow.
How important?
Great question.
How important was it for you to, be given that latitude to hire this group?
Honestly, I wouldn't have taken the job
Yeah.
I've been doing this long enough, and again, the year of reflection that I had last year,
Yeah.
being off after the departure from Texas, helped me understand how critical it is that you surround yourself around people that believe in what you believe in,
Right.
that have a like-mindedness about them. So that was my discussion with Dr. Compost was, it was about her vision for this athletic program, which is very clear, and it was about, can I hire the people I need to hire to get this program to move the needle for the program, and that was all. That was it.
Thanks, Coach, for sharing.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all.
Very much.